How would you feel if your spouse asked you for a postnup 7 years into marriage? Think about that. In today's episode, we are talking about prenups and postnups, why people feel offended when one spouse brings it up, and what it actually means, and why it can be protection on both sides. Stay tuned.
Sugar Daddy Podcast, yo. Learn how to make them pockets grow. Financial freedom's where we go. Smart investments, money flow.
Welcome, everyone, to the Sugar Daddy Podcast, where we help you build a clear financial plan so you can feel confident and in control of your money. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with my husband, Brandon.
Hello.
Oh, geez, welcome back. Thank you for being with us week over week. And if you're new here, we hope that you will stick around because we have a lot of fun every Wednesday when we release episodes and nerd out about all things money. Today, babe, what are we talking about?
Today we are talking about, instead of prenups, we're talking about postnups.
Dun, dun, dun. And for anybody new here, or anybody who hasn't caught our episodes, we actually got a postnup. Was it 2024 or 2025? Last year? I don't know. What is time?
I think last year was when we finished it.
When we finished it? Okay. So we have episodes with our dear friend, Aaron Thomas, who is our attorney. He also is the founder of prenups.com. He is a wealth of knowledge, and we learned so much from having him on the podcast that we asked him to do our postnup. So we are going to hit 10 years of marriage this year. Happy early anniversary, babe. And we decided to do a postnup because after learning so much from Aaron, we decided that it was part of a comprehensive financial plan.
Yeah, we had no intentions of doing a postnup, but we were lucky enough to be connected with him and did a podcast episode, and he completely changed our thought process about how we view them.
Yes, but I think there is still a lot of misconception around prenups and postnups. And so I came across this post. So I'm going to read it and then we're going to talk about it. Okay. So it says, I've been married for 7 years with my partner for 10. Her father has died and she is expected to inherit a substantial amount of money, not sure how much, as he has lots of stocks and shares that he kept quiet about. She now wants a postnuptial agreement, so if we ever get divorced, I won't take any of it. She doesn't understand why I feel how I feel, but it doesn't make me feel good. So there wasn't really a question here of like, why should I, what should I be feeling or how should I handle this? So we're just going to fill in our blanks here. And I think the misconception is still with prenups and postnups, you are planning for a divorce.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the sentiment that I get when I read this post is, well, if we're not together, I don't want you to have any of my money. So that's what I'm planning for.
It's so hard for me to wrap. I guess now it's hard for me to wrap my mind around when people are like, if you want to put these things in place, that you're planning for the marriage to
Fail.
not to fail. Because there's so much planning that we do in other aspects of our life, but we're not looking at, oh, this is going to end up terrible. It's just like, just in case.
And you know what? I saw this actually this morning, which is funny. And I've never heard this analogy before, but I thought it was really amazing. And this woman, she's actually the founder of Fleur. I don't remember her name right now, but she was talking about prenups and postnups. And she said that she equates it to wearing a seatbelt. Like, I'm going to get in the car with you, and I think that you're a safe driver, but I'm still going to put my seatbelt on just in case.
I was going to even go even more like a weird tangent.
What?
I was like, when you go on vacation, I think most of us pack more underwear than we need.
Yeah. What is it about vacation underwear?
So I don't have any plans on shitting myself during the day where like I need some extra underwear, but just in case.
Okay, so
That's literally where my mind went.
detour. There is so much content on the internet, on social media about how much underwear women pack when we go on vacation.
I pack more than I need as a guy.
But it's like, when was the last time you changed your underwear in the middle of the day?
Just cause,
Like, you don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're on vacation and you're like, oh, I've been walking for 10 hours. Like, I need, But I just think it's hilarious because,
Yeah.
like, why are we always overpacking underwear? I mean, I feel like women, it's bare minimum 2 pairs per day. Some women are doing 3 and 4 pair a day.
So, like, think about all the things that we have a backup plan for that we're not planning on happening.
Right.
But when it's something so important, people are so adverse to actually having a plan.
Right. Well, and I think if you go into it with the mindset of this is not going to work out, so I'm going to protect myself, that's when the other person then can say, well, why are you planning for the worst? Everything was fine, and now you're planning for the worst. And what I thought was interesting when I read this is that you and I had a very different conversation about inheritance because your inheritance will be significantly larger than anything that I get from my parents. And I wasn't offended by the fact that we actually put a clause in our postnup about inheritance, which is your inheritance goes into your account, your private account. Any inheritance that I get or any windfall really will go into my account. And then we added a clause that if we put a large amount of money, so a large amount for us is $5,000 or more, into our joint account, we actually need to have a letter that is notarized
Yeah.
to make it community assets.
So, for example, like if, in the future, the inheritance comes and I decide, hey,
Doesn't even have to be inheritance.
yeah,
Could be a bonus check or commission check or
and I'm like, hey,
something.
I want this to be our money now.
Mhm.
The process has to be done to, basically show from a, um,
Legal standpoint.
yes, legal standpoint, but then also just a trail of
Yeah.
what we're doing. So
Yeah.
that
So
if
you're
something did
taking
happen,
your money, quote unquote, and putting it into our joint account. It is now community property. And the reason we did this, and I think we all have experiences and stories, um, but we're both products of divorce. And I vividly remember that my mom got an inheritance when her father passed away that she used towards the down payment of the home that I grew up in. Well, when my parents got divorced and for 10 years after, I'm still hearing about this money that was used to put down on the home that was her money. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like I don't live in the past like that and I did not want that to be the case, right? If it's like, hey, we have this windfall, or at one point in our relationship, I was in sales. So I was making, like large commission checks at times. If I put that into our joint account and then we took this amazing vacation and we get a divorce, I don't want to be the person that's like, well, back in 2005, I spent
2005, I was still in college, but okay.
whatever, X amount of money on this vacation and then like our kids are never going to hear the end of it. No, like once it's community property, I don't want to talk to you about it anymore, present or divorced. And so there are protections that you can put into place to make sure that those kinds of conversations don't have to happen. And I don't think Brandon loves me any less, knowing that he is going to get a larger inheritance that I'm going to get. And I don't think that Brandon is fearful of me trying to quote unquote take his inheritance because he knows I'm going to get less of an inheritance. But regardless of those feelings, we now have protections in place that really make those feelings null and void because it's now his and it's now mine, and if we want to put it together, we have a process for that.
So I think really what it is, so like from the man's standpoint in what you just read, I think it's shifting your mindset,
Mhm.
to be honest with you, because she said, because like the way that she's phrasing it in the purpose of the postnup is if we do separate.
Which is what it's for
Yes,
in the
but
event that we
focus
separate.
on you guys aren't separating, so you
Mhm.
could still benefit from the inheritance together at that point in time while you're still together. This is only if we don't work out.
Yeah.
So like,
It's the worst case scenario. It's the insurance for the worst case
and the thing
scenario.
is that it's, I mean, like in the United States, statistically, almost 50% of marriages end in divorce. So it's not this uncommon thing. It's not like,
Right.
oh, I don't know anybody that's never ever gotten divorced. Like, no, my mom's been divorced 4 times, and my dad twice. So it's very, for me, it's
We
kind
have
of
7 divorces between our parents. I don't know why we're laughing because it's actually really sad, but okay. 7, that's a lot.
But the idea is that, like, I've seen what can happen when you don't have things in place, and
Yeah,
I don't think anyone goes into marriage with the idea of getting divorced. Like, that's then you wouldn't get married in that
right.
scenario. But the reality is that life happens. People grow apart. People do things that sometimes you don't expect them to do. Like, so putting these protections in place while you guys are still loving each other, still in a good place. That is when it makes sense rather than waiting until something bad happens and then seeing one, if you can even put anything in place, but then also in that standpoint, you are not probably liking that person as much as you did before.
Yeah, Aaron on our episode said, "Why not create your own rules while love and respect are high?" Like when you're clearly thinking about what's important to you, right? The other thing that he pointed out that I thought was so insightful is that we are, as millennials, as elder millennials, right? We are in our prime earning years. So when we got together, we a prenup was not even on our radar because
No.
it was, I mean, we owned homes. It should have been, right? We
Yeah.
owned homes, we had careers, etc. But like it just wasn't
People think that you have to be wealthy.
right. Like you're not an NBA player or you're not a celebrity or you're not Taylor Swift. So why would I get a prenup? But like that's not at all what it's about. And so while you're growing, right? Like think about your 401k right now. What's going to be in your 401k in 15 or 20 years? Like, I mean, Fidelity already reported that they are at an all-time high of 401k millionaires. You have clients that have over $1 million in their 401k. So think about somebody saying, okay, now you have to split that.
Yeah, prenups and postnups
What?
aren't just for where you're at today. It's
It's
where you
for
could
the
be 20 years in the
future.
future. Like, say you're
Exactly.
30 years old, you get married now. It may not be for right now, but say, like, 20 years in the future, now you're 50,
Yeah.
and now the marriage isn't working, you want to separate. You now have accumulated some things over that 20-year period that maybe you want to protect.
And we have enough friends who've gone through divorce, and the reoccurring sentiment is you do not divorce the same person you married.
No,
And so if you're thinking, "Oh, this person would never do that," or "This person would never come after this," or "This," you don't know
you
who that
don't.
person is gonna
Who they
be
become. Because,
and
like,
who they
because let's
become.
be honest, none of us are our best when we're upset and dealing strictly in emotion. Now, imagine, like,
Right.
it's like for me, like, one of the worst things that could happen is us getting divorced. And so I'm not probably going to be in my most logical,
Most generous, most loving, most
even though I'm a very
kind.
logical person,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that's where it's going to be coming from at that moment.
Right. So I'm grateful that we had, the for us it wasn't, but the quote unquote hard conversation with Aaron,
That's another
he
part.
was essentially our mediator and we got to have the really tough conversations, and I mean Aaron did say that a lot of times things come out that people didn't share, right? Whether it's maybe debts, maybe it's accounts that have large amounts of money in them that the other spouse didn't know about. Like, we didn't have any secrets to begin with, but it also gives you the opportunity, for example, and we have episodes on this, so go back into the archives and listen to it. But for example, our mortgage is in my name. Brandon is on the deed. If we were to dissolve our marriage because of our postnup, this is now an asset and a liability for both of us. So technically, without the postnup, because Brandon's not on the mortgage, he could walk away and be like, girl, that's your problem. And now I'm stuck with a huge mortgage that we went into together. And at the time, it made financial sense for only one of us to be on the mortgage and all the things. But in the event of a divorce, this needs to be a liability and an asset for both of us. And so those are the kinds of things that you can detail, right? My student loans. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, kind of like bringing it back to the original post, like, I don't even know if from the way that he wrote it, makes me think that he's not even sure if he knows how he should feel about it. Because I
Right.
feel like he's
He's
thinking,
confused.
I feel like he's thinking about it in the standard terms of a prenup. The way that most people think about a prenup is that you're planning to fail.
Yes.
So he's like,
That's how I read
according
it.
to that, like, why, like, if she's planning to fail, like, is she gonna, like, has she been, like, feeling like she wants to leave or whatever? Like,
Right.
so I think maybe
And
he
this is
needs,
like the
yeah,
catalyst.
he's spiraling maybe a little bit in that aspect rather than just having a genuine conversation with his spouse to kind of get more clarity on the situation.
Well, and speaking of clarity, the big part of this was missing was they don't know what the amount is, and
Yeah,
it doesn't even sound like the wife knows. So
because like a big amount can vary from people to people. Like, for
Yeah.
example, like if we were to inherit $100,000,
That is
like
not a life-changing amount of money.
no, but like
But if
not
you
for us.
not for
Not for
us.
us. It's
Correct.
not life changing. We're like, oh, will I take it? 100%. Could I put it to
Yes.
good use? To good use? 100%. But am I going to stop working tomorrow? Are we going to like buy a brand new house? No, none of that. Our life is still going to continue the same
Right.
as compared to like, oh, we inherited $10 million tomorrow.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, our life would look very different.
But I almost feel like they're in a really good spot not knowing because this is stuff that they could be uncovering
together.
in the post-nup process, right? Which is what are our assets? What are our debts? What is ours? What is yours? What is mine? And then put rules and parameters around that. I think that's the most important part of all of this is really understanding. For example, my student loans, you currently pay. But in the event that we get a divorce, that is now my liability solely and is not Brandon's. But because we're happily married, it's just actually one of those debts that you kind of just took on.
Yeah, because I mean, like the pot's the pot.
The pot is the pot. Yes. So that just happens to be the one thing that that you pay that's actually mine,
Yeah.
but in the event that we are not married anymore, obviously, that's not his student loan, it's mine. So now that kind of comes back over to me as my liability. And so I just think that those things are really important to talk about. The other thing that came up is ownership of our children's accounts, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, and that I could break that down a little bit more
Okay,
too
yeah.
because so for a lot of the accounts that are for minors, you really only have one owner on them. So for example, like with a 529 plan,
Mhm.
there's really only you have one primary, you have one person that's the owner. Now you can have a secondary owner in the event of something happening to the primary. But with the 529 plan, since obviously I do what I do and I was the one that set them up, they're in my name.
Right.
But under our postnup, they are both under both of our control.
Right. Because, and we talked about how do people do this? And Aaron again explained that, you think that you married somebody honest, you think that they're going to operate a certain way, but if you don't have access and you don't see what's actually happening, you really don't know. And he's actually worked with people who, mismanaged their children's accounts, or one partner thought that, contributions were still continuing, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden that money was gone and was used to buy a new car or down payment on a house or liquidated for whatever reason. And I don't play those games. So I was like, nope, we both pay into these accounts. They can have a primary owner, but access will have to remain for both of us so that we both have visibility into what's happening with these accounts that are meant for our children at all times. Now, again, in my head, Brandon would never do anything to harm our children, to take money from our children or anybody or any family member, etc. But again, people do crazy things. And even though I love him and trust him, if we were to dissolve our marriage, I need access and
I
visibility.
mean, and the thing is too is that there's a variety of reasons why people could end up getting divorced.
Yeah.
One, I mean, this is probably a minority scenario, but like, say if I had an injury
Mhm.
and then I got addicted to painkillers, and then like I've
Mm.
never had an addictive personality, never been addicted to drugs or alcohol or anything like that. But then now that
You went
happens.
dark.
I'm just saying, like,
I mean, it happens,
there's
sure.
are these things that happen where
Yeah.
then, like, now the person's not the same person that they were before. Now
Mhm.
you want to get divorced from them, and now maybe you cannot trust them
That's
with
true.
that type of money
Yeah.
in regards to doing the things that they did before as the person that you formerly knew them. So
Yeah.
it's really about just putting in protections while everything is good,
Yeah.
just like anything else in life. Like once again, I might be gone for a week, but maybe I packed 2.5 weeks worth of underwear, even though, I can control my bowels.
Oh my gosh, yes. I
But
mean,
in case I do shit myself, I got plenty of underwear.
you have plenty of underwear, yes. I mean, that's really what it is, and we've called it love insurance. We actually even were featured in an article, in The Knot where we called it Love insurance, and that's what it is. It's again, it's an insurance policy that you hope you never have to use, but in the event that you do, you will be happy that it is in place and that it's something that you can fall back on, knowing that you both came together as a team, you created your own rules because again, remember, your state, if you're married, already wrote your prenup.
That's the big part
The
there.
rules are in place.
So even if you are like, oh, I don't want to get a prenup because it's planning to fail, you already have one.
You have
You
one. You
already
signed
have
that
one.
marriage certificate. None of us know what it says. Let's be honest. Let's be real here. Nobody knows what that thing
Yeah,
says.
you don't know what the
You just went and
prenup is for
signed
your
it,
state.
but you have one. So you might as well write your own rules either
100%.
before you get married or after. We, again, prenups weren't on our radar, so we did it after. We're so happy that we did. It's signed, sealed, delivered. We don't think about it unless we're recording episodes for it because, again, we are not planning on getting a divorce and we are happily married. But we need to start changing the conversation and the stigma around it and just know that it is protection for both of you. It is
Yes.
not one-sided. If you're doing it right and you're working with the right kind of attorney like Aaron, I'm sure there's plenty of other wonderful divorce attorneys. If you are doing it the right way and you're doing it as a partnership, you will feel better having these protections in place for things that are important to you. I promise you, you will. So, I guess this ended up being an episode on why you should get a prenup or a postnup. So we are absolutely pro prenup and postnup. But if you have any questions, reach out. As always, we have multiple episodes on the prenup and postnup process. You can get a feel for working with Aaron through our episode with him. And then we also detailed exactly what's in our postnup because, everybody's a voyeur. We all like to know what's going on behind the curtain. So we actually pulled the curtain back and gave you exactly what's in our postnup. That is not legal advice. You need to talk to an attorney. But we wanted you to know what was important to us, just to give you some ideas of, what you could potentially put into your own postnups if you're already married. So hopefully this was helpful. If you want to start the conversation with your spouse, maybe send them this episode and go from there. But we highly recommend it and hope that you'll get one. We'll talk to you next week.
Sugar Daddy Podcast, yo. Learn how to make them pockets grow. Financial freedom's where we go. Smart investments, money.